welcome to week 3 of Pearland ISD's Link and Learn. My name is Mrs. Garza and I'm a 4th grade math teacher at Silver Lake Elementary. I'm so glad you came and joined me today. Today we're going to be working on fractions, which is TEK 4.3 C and D, where we're going to be looking at fractions that are equivalent, and then we're going to be comparing fractions using different methods. So stay tuned. This week's TEKs for Pearland ISD's Link and Learn are TEK 4.3C, which is determining if two given fractions are equivalent using a variety of methods, and also TEK 4.3D, where we're going to be comparing two fractions with different numerators and different denominators and represent the comparison using the symbols greater than, equal to, or less than. Okay, let's go ahead and start with making equivalent fractions, okay? I know that a lot of you are used to seeing this fraction strip, which is very, very useful in manipulating. So we're gonna kind of start off with that first, okay? So let's say I had the fraction 4/6. Okay, I'm gonna put 4/6. Okay, and I am trying to make equivalent fraction or inequivalent fraction. Equivalent fraction for 4/6, okay? Okay, I can actually make a couple of equivalent fractions. With making an equivalent fraction, you can actually multiply, what I would say is a safe multiple or factor would be multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by 2. So if I multiplied 4/6, I multiply the numerator, I multiplied it times 2, that would give me 8. And I multiply the denominator times 2, that would give me 12. So an equivalent fraction for 4/6 would also be 8/12. Now, using these fraction strips, let's see if that's true when we're modeling it, okay? So let me go ahead and get 4/6. I already have them pre-cut. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's representing 4/6. Okay, now I am going to represent the 8/12 and see if it is equivalent to 4/6 using our fraction strips. We're pretty much saying that it is equivalent using our multiplication method, but let's go ahead and prove that it is also using our fraction strips. Okay, these are a little smaller, so it's going to take me a little bit. 1/12. 2/12, 3/12. Mrs. Garza is not as coordinated sometimes. 4/12. Okay, which right there, look at that. That is a half, okay, of the 4/6. Okay, then we have, it's 5. There we go. 6. 7, and fell on the floor, 8/12. Okay, now if I was 8/12, so it's saying 4/6 and 8/12 look pretty equal. Okay, they look equal. It's just Mrs. Garza is a little messy. Okay, so 4/6 and 8/12 are equal. Okay, now I can also simplify this or make it a fraction to have been before this 4/6. Okay, now in order to do that, I multiply, just like when we're going, when we're multiplying to get to the higher number, I'm going to divide to get to the smaller value. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and since I multiply by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and come over here and I'm going to put division by 2, divide by 2. Oh, Jiminy. Okay, let's see. Forgot that this is not taped on. It's okay. Okay, so 4 divided into 2 would give me what? It would give me 2. Okay, 6 divided into 2 would give me what? 3. So another equivalent fraction for 4/6 is also 2/3. And actually, in 4th grade, you do see the simplified fraction. So if there was a question on a test and it said, what's the simplified fraction for 4/6? Well, 2/3 would be a simplified fraction for it, okay, in the simplest form. Alrighty, so let's check, and I actually already had this pre-cut too, to see if it does match up, okay? We've already proved that 4/6 is equivalent to 8/12 using the multiplication method and our fraction strips. Now let's see if, since we divided it to get the simplified fraction, if it in fact does the same thing with the fraction strips, okay? So here's my 1/3, and here's my 2/3. Okay, so yes, they are all equivalent to each other. Okay, that's using equivalent fractions. To me, the easiest way, because you're not going to have these fraction strips in front of you, would be to multiply to figure out what your equivalent fraction would be. Okay? Okay, now we are comparing fractions. Strategies for comparing fractions. Now in 3rd grade, and I know Miss Rucker, the 3rd grade math teacher on this Link and Learn, she has gone over fractions also and comparing the unit fractions if the denominators are the same and the numerators are the same. These are all skills that you learned in 3rd grade. Okay, this year in 4th grade, you are relating them to benchmark fractions, okay? Meaning that is the fraction close to 0, to a half, or to a 1? So when you're able to look at a fraction, you're able to recognize, oh, well, I know that that's a fraction that's greater than this other fraction because it's more than half, and that one is closer to the 0, okay? We're going to go over that in just a minute. Now, creating common denominators, that is something also that when when the denominators are different, you're able to put them to be the same by multiplying and having the same denominator, and then you're able to compare them more easily. Okay, so let's get started. Let's say I have 2/3, and I also have 4/9. Okay, now you're like, oh my goodness, I have no idea. 2/3, that's definitely probably more than half. This looks like it's almost more than half. Well, if 4 is half of 8, but is it close to 9? I know how you get panicky, because I was that kind of student. I would always get panicked, and especially if I was being called on in front of everybody, okay? So one thing that you can do, and I'm going to just start off with the model, and I'm going to show you an easier way to do this, okay? But the modeling, so if you were to create your own models, and this is the way I feel like I learned the best, is by making my models, okay? So here are, I like to make it like that so I know that there are equal. So here will be my 2/3 and here will be my 4/9, okay? So I need to break this in 3 parts. So here's 1 part, 2 part, and 3 parts, okay? And this 4/9 needs to be broken up in 9 parts. Well, since they're already broken up in 3s, I can actually do it like this. I can say that this is, okay, that's the 3, but then I can say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's 3, 6, 9, okay? So then I can also shade that in to represent this to be representing the 2/3. So I would shade in 1 and 2. And then for my 4/9, which is this bottom one, I would shade in 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so which one is greater? The 2/3 is, okay? It is greater than the 4/9. This has more parts, okay? This has less parts and more shaded, okay? If you are a person like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I would have picked the 4/9. Okay, well, this is another thing that you can do. Let's go ahead and make this the same denominator, okay? So we have 2/3 and 4/9. Now to make this the same denominator, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply. Okay, so I'm going to kind of switch my, or multiply using the opposite denominator. Okay, so for example, here I have 2/3 and here I have 4/9. I'm going to multiply my 3, and I'm going to multiply it times my 9 over here. And I'm going to do the same for my numerator. So 2 times 9 gives me 18, and 3 times 9 gives me what? 27. So 2/3 is also equal to 18 over 27. Now I'm going to multiply my 9 times the 3 from this denominator, okay? And that's just to make them to be equal, the denominators to be equal to each other, okay? So here I'm going to multiply times 3 here, and I'm going to multiply times 3 on my numerator. So when I do that, when I multiply, I'm always going to multiply the same number with the numerator and the denominator, okay? I can't switch it up. I can't say, okay, let me do one to be this number and this other one to be this number. No, it has to be the same, okay? So let's go ahead and solve for this. 4 times 3 is what? 12. And then 9 times 3 we know is going to be 27. So here you're able to have your denominators. The common denominator is 27. Okay, now since you were able to make your numerators to be more precise, now you can really see that 18 is greater than 12. Okay, so you have options in trying to figure this out. Okay, let's do another example of this one. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. If I had 5/6 and 7/8, and I want to test it using finding the common denominator, I know that I'm going to have to multiply, okay, using the 8 times 6 over here and the 6 times 8 over here and the 6 times the 7 and the 8 times the 5, okay? So we're going to have to kind of switch it up, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So if I had 8, I would have 6 times 8 and 5 times 8, okay? So 5 times 8 is 40. And 6 times 8 is 48, okay? Now I bring my denominator over here to make it the common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 6 with the numerator and the denominator, and I'm going to be able to prove it that way. So 7 times 6 is 42, and 8 times 6 is 48. Now, which one is greater? Well, 40 over 48 is less than 42 over 48, okay? Now, one more just to show you the equal, okay? If I had 6/12 and I had 4/8, what kind of fraction is that? What are they both equal to, or what are they? Well, 6 is half of 12 and 4 is half of 8. So these fractions are equivalent. They are equivalent because they are halves. Okay, I wanted just to show you that. Okay, for this week's Link and Learn, practice it. I have the vocabulary terms there, the TEK, and also for the practice that I put, the battle of the fractions, okay? So you're going to play a game where it looks like this. This is your template. Okay, so you're going to be able to use dice. You're going to be able to call out just some fractions. You don't have to use this paper or print it out. You can use a loose leaf paper, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. But this is the objective of it, where you and a partner are having, or you can even use, I forgot to put deck of cards, okay? So if you had a 6 and a 12 and your partner had a 3 and a 6, well, what would that be? That would be your equal sign, okay? So you don't have to erase it and rewrite it, but you're kind of just being able to recognize the fractions. That's what I kind of wanted you to make sure and practice recognizing these fractions so that you're able to recognize if it is close to the 0, to the half, or if it is closer to the 1, or if you're needing to even multiply it, you're using a sheet of paper and do your multiplication if you are having that problem in solving. Okay, since you saw the template, and let's just say that don't have access to the printer, or you can't do that, that is no big deal. You can always use anything, okay? Boys and girls, get creative. You guys are a lot more creative than I am, okay? So here, if I had a game and I had my battle it with my son, Nico, okay? And here is number 1, and he had his own little sheet of paper if he wanted to have it too, or we could use the same one, and I could be the person, the recorder. Okay, and I had, I rolled a 3 and then I rolled a 4. okay? And he rolled a 6, and then he rolled a 7. Well, then we're going to quickly figure out, okay, well, oh my gosh, and he's having trouble, and he says, okay, well, I'm going to have to work this out, Mom. I want to make sure that I understand what I'm doing. So, of course, I'm going to be so supportive of him and say, yes, let's do that. Okay, so what is one thing that I'm going to have to do? Well, I'm going to have to, or he's going to have to bring this denominator over here to multiply with each one, correct? Okay, so 4 times 7 would be 28. And then 3 times 7 is 21, okay? And then here, I would bring my 4 over here. So times 4 and times 4. So 6 times 4 is 24. And 7 times 4, we just said that that's 28 since we made them the common denominators. So who won this one? This one was me, so Garza, Mrs. Garza, and this one was Nico. So who won this one? 21 over 28 or 24 over 28? Well, you got it. So 21 over 28 is less than 24 over 28. So then I would put a scoreboard here, and I would say G, ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. So Mrs. Garza did not win that one. Nico won the first one, okay? Now let's say my second roll. I rolled a 1, and then I rolled a 2. And then Nico rolled a 2, and then he rolled a 4. Okay, well, who is the winner here? We both are. We both have a benchmark fraction of a half, okay? So then I would put G1 and Nico is 2. So he's winning so far. And then I would go on and on. You can use dice, you can use a deck of cards, you can use dominoes, or you could even use those those numeral cards that I made in week 1. Okay, so you have your practice it, which is this game, and then you have apply it, which are 5 questions for you to answer. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed reviewing your fractions. We are in week 3 out of 10. So are we halfway there yet? No. What does it have to be halfway? 5/10, right? That would be a half. So we're almost there. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Adios.